Hi everyone, it's Olga from Olga's Flavor Factory. I have my husband here with me today, Sergi, and we are going to do a really fun video today. We're going to share how we met, a little bit more about us, our family, and we're also going to answer a lot of your questions. So I put up one of those question boxes on Instagram stories, and you guys asked us some really great questions. So that's what we're going to do today.
Well, let's do it. So one of the questions was what I do for a living, and what did I say about fire protection?
Just briefly, because nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody cares, nobody knows, yeah.
Nobody cares, nobody knows. Why did you decide to pull your kids out of school and homeschool them? I never imagined myself homeschooling. Would you ever consider moving to a different state, and if so, where? What house project do you want to do next? Sergi, are you raring to go with another project?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Why are you laughing?
I love you. Break time.
You guys may not see my husband a lot because he's actually behind the camera most of the time. He records a lot of my videos and helps a lot with behind the scenes work. So he's actually a huge part of Olga's Flavor Factory. In fact, if he wasn't helping me, and it was his idea in the first place anyway, but he is just a huge part of everything that I do. And I wouldn't be doing it today if he wasn't helping me so much. I guess we can start with sharing a little bit more about ourselves, and Sergi can start because he's older than me.
Well, I'll start
yeah.
then. I'm older. We have a 5-year difference between us. And should we say our age?
That was actually one of the questions.
All right. So the question of how old am I? I don't remember. After a certain age, you start not to remember your age. I'm turning 42, right?
Yes, you're turning 42.
In a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I'll be 37.
There you go. So this is how old we are this year.
Yeah, we got married. I was 20 and Sergi was 25. So that's easy.
5
to
years
remember.
difference. I'm 5 years older than you.
Yeah.
Right. So I was born in Belarus, in the city of Pinsk, Belarus, Pinsk. Меня зовут Sergey, or Sergi. And I grew up there, and when I was 18 years old, we emigrated to the United States, to Utica, New York, a very small city upstate New York, where we lived for 4 years before we moved to Florida. And that's when I met Olga in Utica, New York.
Yep. So my story is very similar. I was also born in Belarus, Minsk, so it's very interesting. I was from Minsk, Sergi is from Pinsk. We did not know each other. Our families didn't know each other back in Belarus. And my family actually came to America in 1992 when I was 6, so quite a lot of years before Sergi's family came. I come from a family of 6, so I have 5 siblings. I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers. And Sergi?
I come from a family of 12. Our parents had 12 kids, 11 boys and 1 girl. And she was the last one,
yes.
Our sister.
Very long awaited.
Yes, and I'm right in the middle of the pack. So big family, enjoyed every bit of it, growing up with a lot of brothers and then sister.
Yes, we love growing up in big families. Even today, our siblings are our best friends. So it's awesome to have so much family around us.
Absolutely. So when we came to Utica, New York, I barely spoke English, and I had to learn the language. Went to college for about a year, just trying to pick up the language as fast as I could, and started working there. And then we met, and then I moved away, and then we got married 2 years later after I moved to Florida in 2006.
Yes, so we also moved to Utica, New York with my family. My mom's brother had already moved to America and we came to join them. And I went to school. I never went to school in Belarus because kids start school at the age of 7. So I was right there, right before starting school. So I started school here in America, and I went through all of my schooling here. And then after I graduated from high school, I went to college to become a nurse. What's interesting is that we didn't start dating until Sergi and his family moved to Florida. So our entire relationship when we were dating was long distance. So we were really good friends when he was still living in Utica, and we went to choir together, small groups in church, did lots of things together as a group of friends, and we got to know each other really well. And then we started liking each other and got a little more serious, and we started dating after they moved. So I was in college during that time, and we waited to get married until I was done with college. I graduated, and that's when Sergi proposed.
Yeah, I proposed in December of 2005. We got married in the summer of 2006.
Yes, right after I graduated in May, and in June we got married.
Absolutely. And we've been married for almost 17 years.
Yeah, can't believe it.
It's been a while. 17 years, it sounds like a lot, but it also...
It just flew by.
Yeah, it's like it happened yesterday.
Yeah, it really seems like we just got married.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been so many years. I mean, we've been through a lot in those 17 years.
Yep.
And I think all of those experiences, the good, the bad, the hard, and the awesome.
And the beautiful, yep.
It just brought us really close together.
Absolutely.
A lot of people always ask us why we moved to Florida. So, Sergi, go ahead and tell them, because you were... and your family moved.
When we came to Utica, our parents, we were still part of I was still part of the family, living with our parents, and they always wanted to move down south. There was their goal, just when they came to Utica, New York, that they would move. We ended up living there for 4 years. We were looking for a place to move. We checked out different places, but when we came to Florida and visited, we met some good people here, and we really liked the warmth of the South, and we decided to make a move to Tampa Bay, Florida. And that happened in 2004. So then, we got married later, and then Olga also moved as soon as we got married.
Right after we got married. Yeah, I never pictured myself moving down south. I loved living in New York. I love the seasons. I still do. I really enjoy it. So I never pictured myself moving down south, and Florida. I never came to Florida before that, but I absolutely love it here. It's so beautiful. I absolutely love the tropical scenery, the feel. I even like the humidity. Right. I know it's not for everybody, but I just really enjoy it here. We love it, and we've made it our home for all these years.
Yeah, it has been fun. We've lived here for a while. I could not picture myself living in Florida when we were in New York, but when we came, we liked it, and there's a lot of things we like Florida for, and most of it is for the winter, when in the fall the weather gets just beautifully perfect until like April and May. And then the summer is fun too. Water is really warm in the ocean.
Yeah, we really like it actually.
And,
we don't mind it.
We can go swim in the bath water because it's so warm, and our kids enjoy it. And just driving through Florida and being next to the water, just something about you're driving to work and you're driving by the water, or you're going places and there's always water all around, palm trees and things like that. It's beautiful. We really like it. Enjoy it.
Yeah, we're driving just on our regular, errands and doing things around town, and it feels like we're on a vacation.
Yeah.
It's absolutely stunning here.
We go out to eat at restaurants, and a lot of them are on the water or outside sitting. We really enjoy that, and that's what Florida living is about for us. Enjoying the outdoors, and enjoying the climate, all of that. Yeah. So one of the questions was what I do for a living, besides helping Olga with a little bit with the blog, with website. I am in fire protection. So I started up in New York for a couple of years before I moved to Florida with a fire protection company. When we came to New York, I had to learn the language pretty quick, and then I started working at a bank servicing center for $6.25 an hour. And it was like, whoa, I'm working at the bank. Did not like the job. And I worked there for about a year. So one of the friends from church, he said, hey, I'm working at the fire protection company. Would you like to come work? I said, I have no idea what that's all about, but it sounds interesting. Let's try it. So I got hired in New York doing fire protection. And basically it's doing fire system inspections, fire extinguisher inspections, installing fire systems, and anything that has to do with protecting property from fire. It has to do with servicing and protecting mostly commercial properties. Restaurants, every restaurant has a fire system and fire extinguishers. Every hotel and all the commercial buildings, they have to have fire protection. I've been in that industry for over 20 years in different roles. I've installed a lot of fire systems and inspected fire systems. And then for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been managing the department of the company that does the same thing, fire protection. And I've been in that role for over 20 years. Fire protection is not very interesting for people who are not in it, so I'm not going to expand any more on that. We'll just stop at that. So, yep.
After I graduated from college with my nursing degree, I took the boards, passed it in New York, transferred my license to Florida. It was a lot of transition right after because I moved to a different state. So after that, I started my nursing job in Florida. So I was working as a nurse for many years. I worked in lots of different departments, oncology, telemetry. When I was in nursing school, I actually did pediatrics as a nursing assistant. And then I worked at the transfer center for a few years before I actually quit. I quit my job in 2020 at the end of the year, and now I do Olga's Flavor Factory full time. So that has been a fun transition, doing something that I started as a hobby that turned into my full-time
Business,
job. I guess business, yeah. So that's a little bit more about us, our family, how we met, and all of that. So I think now we'll go ahead and answer some of your questions. I have them over here on my phone. So we'll just start answering them. Okay, let's start with an easy one. Does he like to cook? Do you like to cook, Sergi?
I do. I actually enjoy it. I enjoy breakfast. I like cooking breakfast, and I enjoy grilling. The stove too. I don't have a problem with it. And I don't get to do it a lot because I'm working outside the home. But I do enjoy cooking, yes.
So I do most of the cooking because I like it. It's my business, and because I'm home a lot more than Sergi. We do have a tradition that kind of started when I was still working, that he would cook breakfast on the weekends, and Sergi still cooks breakfast on the weekends for us most of the time.
Saturday, Sunday, breakfast is on me. Yes.
Yep. A few years ago when I was still working at the transfer center, I would be working on the weekends, so Sergi would let me sleep in. He would make us a delicious breakfast, watch the boys, and that was so much fun. I felt so pampered and taken care of, and he just does a really good job with breakfast food. Yum. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. Yeah, so he's a great cook. Yeah. He actually follows my recipes a lot.
Yes, it's very helpful to have the recipes because, you could try it your way, but it's just better to have a proven method than, So, yeah. I go on Google and how to cook rice by Olga's Flavor Factory, and it pops up. So, yeah.
Why did you decide to pull your kids out of school and homeschool them? Just curious. Then another question about what program we use for homeschooling. Another question here, can you share your homeschool journey and your thoughts on continuing or public school? Okay, so homeschooling.
Yes. What about homeschooling? Well, we have 2 boys, Nathaniel and Joshua. They're 8 and 6 years old, right?
Yeah. We started homeschooling technically at the end of Nathaniel's preschool year. And he started in a public preschool. It was a great school near our home. We have a great experience with that. Nothing negative to say, but it was shut down because of the pandemic, and the schools were all shut down, I think, like after spring break, and they never started school back up. So I just did, some things at home with him. The following school year when he started kindergarten, we just went all in, and I started homeschooling him and doing preschool with Josh. And we've been doing it ever since. So he just finished 2nd grade and Josh finished 1st grade.
So it wasn't necessarily the pandemic that made us decide to do homeschooling. It kind of would happen at the same time, but we decided to do that anyway.
Yeah, we had already decided that we were going to homeschool him the next year, but the fact that he went to public preschool actually solidified my decision that I would homeschool the boys. When I was growing up, I never imagined myself homeschooling. It just wasn't something that I was familiar with. I didn't know a lot of homeschoolers, and a few people that I did know were a little bit weird. I don't know, I feel funny saying that, and there wasn't as much information about it. There weren't as many options in curriculum back then. But I think, honestly, I think I was made for homeschooling. I've always loved school. I love learning. And now that I'm doing it, I absolutely love it. So I think it fits our family so well. So anyway, years later, once, I had the boys, I did start thinking more of how are we going to educate them, and started looking into it a lot more. And my sister-in-law had started homeschooling her kids as well. They're the same age as our kids. And I don't know, I just looked into it, started researching, reading. I started reading lots of books about homeschooling, watching YouTube videos. And the more information that I got, the more I was interested in it. And then once we started Nathaniel in preschool and sent him to a public preschool, I thought it was going to be way too much for me to run the business, work at nights as a nurse, watch the children, and homeschool at the same time. So I put him in the public preschool, and then I just missed my kid, okay? And I think that's the number one reason I wanted to homeschool, is because I wanted to spend more time with my children. I didn't like sending him away for so many hours a day and then thinking of him going to school full-time when he wasn't in preschool anymore, and not seeing him for so long, and then Josh, and they're going to be in different classes. Anyway, I just love that homeschooling brings our family together, and we get to spend so much time together. And then also, it gives us so much more freedom because we don't have to be tied down to the school schedule. They get to build such a strong sibling bond because they're schooling together. We're able to give them that foundation of our family beliefs and values, our faith, incorporate that into school and education, and also customize their education and personalize it to each child. Every child has their own learning style and the way they take in information, how they learn best. And I'm able to personalize their education based on that and see what's working well for them, and make the curriculum not dry and boring and just reading textbooks and, writing and answering worksheets, but make it so much more and make learning fun and exciting. And also, like I said, while we're doing all of that, we're able to spend all that time together. So I just love it. There's so many benefits to it that I didn't even see coming into homeschooling that I see now that we're doing it. And I just love it more and more. The more that we do it, it's just awesome. I think it's one of the best decisions we've made for our family.
Yeah, and for our children to have biblical education, and when you teach them, you know exactly where the weaknesses are, so you can spend more time on that.
Yes.
And not just skip over and just go to the next subject, but actually, know and personalize, like you said, their education to each child. That's huge.
Yeah. I see a huge benefit on the educational side as well, because I'm sitting one-on-one with each child and we're going over all these subjects with them. I know exactly at what level they are, what they're understanding, and they don't get lost in the shuffle among all of the other children. And if we need to spend more time and review something, we can do that. If they already learned it, they don't have to sit there and wait for all the other kids to get it, and they can move on and learn the next concept. So we just really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and with a lot of different options with different curriculums, you're able to find the ones that works best for them. And that's very different from the school education where everybody's learning from the same book, same style. This one you can cater to a child and their learning style, which is huge.
Yeah, and we can switch it up. If we don't like how something is going, we can switch and use a different one next time and choose something that'll work better.
Yeah, and what I see, like Olga does most of the homeschooling because I'm at work during the day, but how you approach homeschooling and how much you love it, I can see that our children love their school time because you love it too. And it's just a perfect case scenario where you love teaching, they love learning, and it's not for everybody, but people that are able to do it and enjoy doing it. So it's a great combination of loving to teach and them loving learning. It's beautiful.
I mean, I think it's so important for all of us as adults to continue to learn and to have that love of learning. And I want to instill that in our kids so that they will know how to find answers, do the research, find what's interesting for them, like as they grow up and become adults and learn life skills. That's another thing about homeschooling I love, that it gives us an opportunity to teach them how to cook, how to be wise with their money, and just incorporate all these life skills and, do stuff with their dad, building projects and around the yard and the home. And we have more time for it because they're home during the hours that they would be spending in school. And I remember picking up Nathaniel from preschool, and like I said, this is just such a short experience. And like I said earlier also, that we had a great experience. I love the teachers and the kids and the school. It was awesome. But he would come home and he would already be tired, and I would ask him, like, what did you do? And he would just be like, oh, I don't know, nothing. Like, he just was tired. And like the time when my kid was full of energy and excitement, I didn't get to see that because he was there. And kids, what did you do in school? How was your day? Fine. And that's all you hear. And I remember that myself as a kid. I went to public school, I went to private school, and in all of those experiences, like, you come home, you're drained because it takes a lot out of you. And I was sad that I was missing out on that part of the day with him. The other question was what kind of curriculum we use. I don't use a specific curriculum. Like I said, I choose lots of different things and customize and personalize our own curriculum for educating the boys. Homeschooling at this point has become a lifestyle for us. So we just incorporate it into our life, and I'm planning to do it until they graduate from high school.
And homeschooling gives you a lot of different options. If we want to travel somewhere for a week, they don't have to skip school. We continue to do the schooling if we're on vacation somewhere, or if we want to take time off, we do that as well. But it's very flexible to our lifestyle, to what we want to do, and we're not bound by the school schedule.
That is a really cool perk of homeschooling, is that we get to take vacations when everybody else is in school, so we can go to Legoland and there's nobody there.
On a Tuesday.
We don't have to, stand in line for hours and hours during spring break and summer vacation. And we take a lot of our vacation time when everybody else is in school. And then when they're all on break, we're hustling down and doing school and, not having to stand in traffic for hours to get to the beach because all the spring breakers are visiting town. Do you have any family in Florida? I have 2 brothers that live in Florida, about 2 hours away from where we live. So that is awesome. We get to see each other regularly. And Sergi, a lot of his family lives in Florida.
Yeah, most of my family lives in Florida. I have a brother lives in Massachusetts. One lives in Atlanta, Georgia, one in Carolina. And the rest of them are in Florida. So all their families live around Tampa Bay area. 2 of my brothers live in Jacksonville, Florida, and the rest here in Tampa Bay.
And I have 3 sisters who live in Tennessee, Nashville area. So we get to travel and see them. My parents still live in New York, so we visit family a lot so that our kids can spend a lot of time with their cousins. We get to spend time with my siblings and their spouses. So yeah, it's nice.
And my parents still live also here in Tampa Bay area.
Yep. Would you ever consider moving to a different state, and if so, where?
Yeah, so as of right now, we're not planning on moving anywhere. If we would move, it would probably be to Tennessee. Olga's three of her sisters live there. We visit there a lot. We enjoyed the climate and the area. So if we do move, it would probably be to Tennessee. Otherwise, we're still in Florida. We love Florida and love both areas.
You never know what the future may bring, so who knows? We're open to different possibilities, but I don't think we would intentionally move anywhere where our family wasn't, because family is so important to us. So Nashville area is beautiful. We love it. All of my sisters are there. That would be a dream come true to live near my sisters. But we also have a lot of family here, so we really enjoy it. What house project do you want to do next? Sergi, are you raring to go with another project?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
We have been remodeling this house since we moved in. Like, what is it, almost 9 years ago?
A little bit at a time. It's getting renewed every year, but it's different projects. And we've shared them. This is one of the projects right here, the shelf. I think the next project would be the outdoor, the backyard. Redoing the backyard paving and kind of making the outdoors more livable, and so we can spend more time there. That would be the next
enjoy
project.
it a lot more. We've done so much work in this house, and last year we did a lot of updates we redid all the floors, we redid some things in the kitchen, so we redid everything in this whole house, all the bathrooms, all the bedrooms, so we finally finished all of those. Sergi's finishing up the last little projects, closets in some of the bedrooms and the hall closet, and after that we're done with the inside work.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun to work on different projects, and as long as you have time and money to invest, it's nice to see that things come together, transforming the house into a more beautiful house. So I enjoyed it.
And even better when it's done and you get to enjoy it and have more time for other things.
Absolutely.
Do you guys eat leftovers, or how many times a week do you cook? We definitely eat leftovers.
Yep.
And to be honest, I don't really like leftovers all that much. I'd rather eat something different, but we definitely eat leftovers, and it gives me a chance to get a break from the kitchen. But also, I like to repurpose leftovers, make it something different so it doesn't feel like we're eating leftovers.
Yeah, it's leftovers, but they're done in a different way to where it feels like it's a new meal from the leftovers. Yep.
And another trick that I have is to, if I'm not repurposing the leftovers, we're going to eat it the exact same way I made it, just heat it up, to not eat it 2 nights in a row.
Yep.
So we'll
skip a night. Yeah.
Skip a night, eat something different, cook something different, and then eat the same thing I made the day before and eat it then. And by then, I've had a little break from the leftovers and we can enjoy it again. How many days a week do I cook? I would say probably 3 to 5 days a week out of 7. It depends on the week, depends how, what I'm doing for the website as well. Sometimes Sergi will give me a break and grill or do breakfast like we talked about before. But I definitely don't cook every single day. And I do still cook a lot because we homeschool, so I make breakfast and lunch every day and snacks. So I try to keep a lot of it very simple. We do eat leftovers, and then there's nights when we go out to eat, or Sergi will grill, or we just repurpose or reheat so that I'm not cooking every single day, because cooking all the time can get you burnt out really fast. And that's why meal prepping and meal planning are awesome, and I do it all the time, and it's so helpful. Here are a few questions that are similar. This one is, how do you keep such a positive outlook on life even though very difficult times? How do you keep a close, intimate relationship after so many years, trials and hardships? And another similar one is, how did you both keep your faith when going through hard times? And along the same lines, also, what was the most difficult time for you both in marriage? So maybe we can.
Questions, yeah.
So let's start with answering what was the most difficult time in our marriage, and then how we kept our faith, a positive outlook, relationship, and all of that.
Yeah, I think the most difficult time for our marriage was a year after we got married, when our daughter passed away while you were pregnant, and you went through a huge health challenge and through ICU, and you guys know our story. We don't want to repeat the whole thing, but that was one of the hardest times when we were just got married and moved, under a year. We celebrated our first anniversary in ICU when you were recovering from the health issues that happened. That was the hardest time, and then there's challenges afterwards, and a lot of these are health challenges, not necessarily relational challenges. We've grown, and faith and family have been instrumental to keeping us sane through very difficult times in our life.
Yeah, I would say that first the year after we got married and everything happened, it was like a milestone marker in our marriage. It changed our life forever.
It did.
And it was such a huge event. It was a nightmare that we went through. And for me, honestly, actually, it wasn't the hardest. It was so intense, and that it was kind of like we were in survival mode. And it was definitely when our faith got tested. You build your faith, and then it gets tested when something really awful happens like this. And I think for me, it was just so traumatic, and I was so sick, and I was kind of out of it for a long time. During that time, it was just supernatural that God carried me through that time. It was definitely very pivotal and very difficult. It took me close to 5 years to recover. It was a long recovery period. I still deal with a lot of things because of everything that happened, and my health is not the same. For 7 years after that, we struggled with infertility. So during that time, we didn't even know if we were going to be able to have children because of the severity of the infection and the septic shock that I went through, so many surgeries I went through. And because of all the adhesions, the doctors weren't even sure if I would be able to get pregnant. And I wasn't able for 7 years. Then miraculously, I got pregnant with Nathaniel. And then 2 years later with Josh. And for me, when I was pregnant with them, my pregnancies were so difficult. It was actually a lot harder for me during those months, or actually years, when I was pregnant and then recovering after that, because I was so sick. I was so malnourished. I was dealing with so many physical challenges. And because it was so long, it was just extremely draining for me emotionally and spiritually. I just felt so down during that time. It was very hard during those years when we had the boys, and I was so sick. I didn't even actually talk about that much. It was so hard for me. I had to kind of deal with that on my own. I could not handle bringing all this out on social media and having other people, put in their 5 cents into what I'm dealing with. And it was such a kind of an experience that not a lot of people go through when they're pregnant. It wasn't like somebody could give me advice or whatever how to help me, because my challenges in those pregnancies were not related to the pregnancies. The pregnancies intensified what I deal with all the time, which is short gut syndrome because of all the surgeries I had, with how much bowel I lost during the surgeries back in 2007. So I was so malnourished. I was throwing up every single day, multiple times. I just felt like imagine having the stomach bug at the same time as you're pregnant for months on end. The whole pregnancy, I lost so much weight. So it was very, very hard for me during those years. And then even after I had the boys, I lost so much weight when I was pregnant. They had to put me on TPN after I had them because I just was not gaining any weight, and I was so malnourished that they had to put me on TPN, which is nutrition through the vein.
IV, yeah. Yes. So to see you lose so much weight, when people usually gain weight with pregnancy, you were losing weight, and then your belly was growing, but you were getting skinnier everywhere else, and milk, and you couldn't keep the nutrients down, and after you gave birth to both boys, you were so skinny, it's like under 90 pounds, which was not healthy. So with the blessing of having two boys and excitement that came with that we were actually able to have two boys, came also the hardship of going through those pregnancies and the post pregnancy period where you had to recover from all of that.
Yeah, it was such a surprise. It's such a blessing, such a joy, and of course, it was completely worth it, 100%. We are so grateful, but it was also very, very hard.
Yeah, so those are two kind of difficult periods in our life that we had to go through, which had so many blessings in it, and hardship, and our faith kind of grew through these challenges, and we were asking a lot of questions. Why do we need to go through hard things like that in our life? But in the end, it strengthened our faith and Jesus and His Word and the Bible and the community and church around us and the family helped us to get through those times in our life.
And it really brought us closer together.
Absolutely.
So all those challenges that we went through, all those experiences, all the loss, and just dealing with it and having to go through it. Like Sergi had to learn how to do all of these medical procedures on me, and change all of my sterile dressings and wound dressings and all of this stuff. Give me shots and administer TPN and so many things that he had to do regularly and to take care of me while I was pregnant, and all of those years. All of these things really brought us closer together, and it taught us how to communicate, how to figure things out, and how to deal with hard things. And then, of course, all the happy things, too, that we got to experience together. So many joyful moments. And also, I think because of 2007, when I lost my health, when I almost died, when we lost our daughter, when we couldn't have children for so many years, it also made us appreciate life so much more and not to take things for granted.
Yeah.
And to appreciate what we have today and appreciate all the little things in life, even when things aren't going right, to enjoy all the little things that are so life-giving in this world.
Yeah, and having Nathaniel and Joshua, it's such a huge blessing. We can't even express when we look at them growing up, and wow. I don't think we would appreciate it as much if we just had, nothing happened and we just had them. But because we waited for them for so long, we enjoy it so much more, and it's such a huge blessing for us to have the boys. It's amazing.
And also, just having a positive outlook on life. I was a very positive person before that. After going through so many difficulties, it is something now that I struggle with, to have a positive outlook, because a lot of things I deal with on a regular basis that I don't talk about, such as health challenges that I deal with all the time. Yes, I am here and I'm alive, but there's also things that I deal with that are not very fun. I think just having the overall picture of everything that we went through, the faithfulness of God through all of that, I know He's going to be with us no matter what happens. And also when you have a perspective of, oh, it could be that. Remember when we were at that point, and seeing all the answered prayers, and sometimes answered prayers not the way we wanted them to be answered, but knowing that I don't want my faith to be so shallow that it's built on something that is only great and my faith is only strong when everything goes the way I want it to be. I want my faith to be strong even when things do not go the way I want it to be. And when things come up in life that are sometimes we make a big deal about them, then when we really think about it and compare it to everything we've already been through, it's like, well, okay, this is not that big of a deal, and not to overreact about something, even though we still do. Just thinking back to everything we went through, it helps us to have a different perspective on that. And several people also asked why I was inactive from social media for a few months. Why was I not on Instagram? So honestly, I just had to take some time away and figure out some priorities in life, because social media just takes up so much time. And since I started homeschooling, I don't have as much time as I used to before. I used to be really active on Instagram before. I really enjoyed it, actually. I love connecting with so many of you guys, but it takes so much time. And I just didn't have that much time left after I started homeschooling. And also just different things in life, personal things that were happening. And I had to take some time to process and to figure out, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do social media? Am I even gonna do it? So right now I am still posting, I'm just not posting as much. And a lot of times I'll take videos of what I'm doing or sharing things that have to do with cooking in the kitchen and all of that, but I don't post it right away. I'll post it a little bit later when I have more time, because usually in the mornings when the boys wake up, we start school, breakfast, snacks, lunch, more school. During that time, I don't like to be on my phone and on social media. After school is done, I have even less time, because now it's time to start doing recipes for the website and taking pictures or videos, or time to make dinner and just take care of the home and all of the things that take up so much of our time. Also, I really had to evaluate and figure out, both of us, how much we wanted to share of our family and our personal life. As the boys are getting older, there's a lot more at stake. Social media is so new that we don't really know how it affects people. Growing up online and being viewed by people, strangers that we don't know and our boys don't know, how is it gonna affect them later on in life? So I want to be a little more cautious about that.
Yeah, be careful.
As parents, I know that all of us want to do the absolute best job that we can. And I don't think we're created to be bombarded with opinions left and right, positive and negative. And I did experience a lot of that. So I want to be careful with how much I'm allowing into my life. I think a lot of us already second guess ourselves. I know I do. And when you're on top of all of that, getting even more opinions about every little thing that you do and don't do and what everybody thinks you should be doing, I think for us and our family, there's some things that we are happy to share online and maybe share our experiences, later on, or some things we are sharing as it's occurring. We talk a lot about this together because it affects our family and our children, and how much we are willing to share with the world.
Yeah, it's not easy navigating those new areas of our lives that used to, when I was growing up, when we were growing up, it was just our family and our friends. And now we were exposed to a lot more people and their opinions. So it's sometimes just easier to live a life, and for our children to live a life more private. I think in the long term, we'll see more benefits of that kind of a lifestyle.
I know a lot of us are busy. We don't have a lot of time. The time that I do have, I want it to be spent wisely and intentionally. and focus on the things that bring a return to the investment of my time. So I came to the conclusion that social media is gonna have to take a back seat and go down, way down on my list of priorities. If I have time for it, I'm happy to share, I enjoy it, but there's a lot of other things that are much higher on the list for me. That was a long video.
It was.
But I think that you guys got to know us a little bit better. We enjoyed sharing with you, answering your questions.
Yeah, it's fun to get to know you guys and to meet you in person when we're out and around traveling, and we meet you guys. That's awesome to get to meet people that are inside of the oldest Flair Factory community. It's awesome, and thank you for hanging out with us. It was fun, and we should do it again.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yep.
So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you next time.